I am excited about life. I am excited to just be breathing and living here today. I'm stoked to be in church with you. This is a great day. They're still handing out guest packets. Man, it's wonderful when people still come to church as guests in the middle of the summer. And we should appreciate them one more time. Let's appreciate those guests one more time. Starting a series today called Next Level Living. And I don't know about you, but I could still handle some next level living. How about you? Next level? A whole nother level? Come on, how many could handle another level? You know, life is just interesting because we are always in this process of evolving and becoming. And, you know, probably there's somebody sitting close to you that you really don't like, and you have to love them because we're commanded to do that, you know, in the Word of God. We're commanded to love one another. You just don't have to like them. It doesn't say that in the Bible, but it just says love. And how many know some people you have to work real hard to like? I love you, brother. We use that in church a lot. I love you, brother. But here's the deal. We are all at varied stages and seasons of growth and development. And we're changing. We're becoming more like Christ every day, if you're following the Lord, that is. Now, what that means for you and I is that while you may not like somebody today, give them another year or two. Let them marinate a little bit longer. You know, and it's amazing how much grace can change you and reshape you if you allow it. And, you know, I was talking with Jill the other day because we were visiting with a guy that had really had a lot of struggles in life and really, you know, got dealt a bad hand from birth, it seemed like. And there was a lot of abuse and a lot of things that happened, and it kind of filtered into some stages of his own life. And, you know, the thing is things that you hate, you become. This is why you got to get hate out of your heart. Let me say that again. Things that you hate, you actually attract to you. And when you have issues with parentals or fathers who abandoned you or abused you, or a mother who did this, when you have those parental issues, the place to work them out is not on Jerry Springer. It's in your prayer closet. Amen. It's meeting with God, because there's only so much that being on TV or meeting with a therapist or Dr. Phil can do. Only so much they can do. It is Christ alone who can make all things new and then begin to grow you into all that He's called you to be. But I've heard this phrase, and I think you probably heard it, generational curses. How many have heard that? Generational curses, generational curses. Generational curses, in fact, will, if you're meeting with a doctor and they'll ask you a history of your family. And some in church circles and in church environments have said, well, you know, if your uncles or your mom, your great-grandparents were predisposed to cancer, you may be predisposed to cancer as well. And they talk about those things, and some have said, well, that's generational curses. Generational curses. But when it comes to attitudes and behavioral things, I think that there may be generational curses, but I think that there's also generational programming. Generational programming. In other words, the environments, you came with a clean slate, and the images you begin to see as a child growing up begin to program you. And this is why the Lord said, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You got to have your mind renewed. T.D. Jakes said it this way, your level of living cannot really go above your level of thinking. And life is the expression of your level of thinking. So the way you're thinking is the way that you're living. If you don't like your life is being produced by your thoughts. Thank you for your enthusiasm. And it's not a good place to say amen, maybe because you got a bad life. I don't know. But the facts are, I think that there are generational curses, but I also think there's generational programming. So we got to be kind of deprogrammed. And this is why he said it's the washing of the water of the Word that will actually begin to not only deprogram you, but reprogram you to think like Christ. There's a little bracelet people used to wear, what would Jesus do? WWJD. And I've taught this before, but I think before you can do what Jesus did, you got to think what Jesus thought. So it really should be WWJT. Because if you start thinking like Jesus, you can start acting like Jesus. But you can't act like Jesus till you start thinking like Jesus. But it's such a long process for some of us because, I mean, how many really thought you'd be further along than you are right now? Look at somebody and say, it's all right. I thought you'd be a lot further than you are right now. Now, made me think of the little girl that, because we're starting back into school, and it's great to have stuff for the kids out here today, but school's ramping back in this week, I think, and I love a story I heard about a little girl that she was 5, and it was her first day to go to school, and the parents were a little anxious, a little nervous, all those different feelings, his first child to go to school, and so the dad dropped her off at school, and they talked about, husband and wife talked several times through the day, how you think she's doing, so finally came time to pick her up, and Dad couldn't wait to get there, and she got in the car, and he said, well, how was it today? She goes, it was good, and he said, well, did you learn anything? She looked at him and said, I guess I didn't learn enough. And he said, well, why? He said, they told me I have to come back tomorrow. And the next day, Dad, they told me I'm going to have to be here for 12 years. That's a lot of learning. That's a lot of programming. But you know, your life is the expression of your level of thinking. So if we're going to go to the next level in our life, we've got to go to the next level